High quality, compactness, and incredible precision. These are the main characteristics of these 5 coffee grinders that you see here. In this review, we're going to show you all of these coffee grinders with a price tag which is lower than 500 euros. We want to specify that the prices indicated in this video for these coffee grinders is tax excluded, and that these coffee grinders might be subject to price variation in the future. Some color configurations of these coffee grinders may also have a different price to the one declared in the video. As many of you would remember, Fellow first came out with the Fellow Ode, a very nice compact coffee grinder with one issue. It did not grind for espresso. It was perfect for French press, it was perfect for pour overs, but it would not grind espresso. But thanks to the Opus, now you finally get the diagram with also the espresso. So then, what is this? It's a compact, quite light, only 2.5 kilos, conical burr coffee grinders with 40mm diameter. Now this is interesting because out of all the coffee grinders that we're going to look at, this is the only one that has conical burrs. Another great advantage of conical burrs is that they can be easily used for different types of coffee, from pour over all the way up to espresso. And in this case, it really comes handy since it's an all-purpose coffee grinder made to grind both pour-over coffee and espresso. Now, another great feature of this coffee grinder is that it has a magnetic system for this cup that comes standard with the coffee grinder. You have a tip, which is this one, that is for lower quantities of coffee. Realistically, this must be for espresso dosages, and you can substitute it with this tap, which is for a larger surface. And yeah, it just is magnetic, as you can see, and you can just throw it and it will go into position thanks to the magnets. Now, another feature of this coffee grinder is that you have 3 programmable doses. However, this doesn't mean that you can actually program your doses for your espresso. This, realistically speaking, is a coffee grinder that you're only going to use for single dose. And I'll explain to you why. So, if you press one time, you're going to have the coffee grinder work for 30 seconds. If you press a second time, the coffee grinder will grind for 60 seconds. You press 3 times, it's going to be 90 seconds. And you press and hold, it will grind for 2 minutes. This means that you cannot really program a doses, you cannot really put the portafilter below the coffee grinder and grind your doses. You will only use this coffee grinder realistically using a single dosing. So you're gonna weigh your coffee, your 20 grams of coffee, and you're going to pour it directly inside the coffee grinder, and then whatever mode you pull, it should be able to grind 20 grams even when it's in the shortest setting of 30 seconds. Now, another great feature of this coffee grinder is the anti-static technology. It is fitted with one, and just like some other of the coffee grinders that we're going to show you today, and this allows the coffee grinder to exit without any clumps. And you will see now how smooth the coffee flows out of the coffee grinder and how the coffee is without any sign of clumps. To access the burrs, it's actually the easiest here in this coffee grinder, because you just have to turn up and here you have it. You already have access to the burrs. As I was saying, these are some C640 burly burrs. They are conical, 40 millimeters in stainless steel with 6 blades. Another notable feature of this coffee grinder is the actual motor that moves the burrs, because it's a high torque 650 watt motor, which is quite a lot for a domestic coffee grinder, and the burrs rotate at only 350 RPM. Now, another reason for these low RPM is for another feature of the conical burrs, which is the efficiency. Now, having a different type of cut, it allows for the coffee beans to actually be grinded with less energy. So yeah, they are more efficient. Next up is a coffee grinder that definitely doesn't need any introduction. This is the Eureka Mignon Specialità. Now, we want to point out that this particular version was fitted with the king size dial, which is not standard. This is something that you can fit in your Eureka Mignon Specialità. The original coffee grinder is actually fitted with a smaller dial, which is the classic one that you've probably seen in many other of the models of the Mignon. So this is a 55mm flat burr coffee grinder. It's, as you can see, very compact. The body is in metal. The details in chrome are in plastic. It fits a 250-gram hopper. Now, this coffee grinder has some unique features to it. First of all, it has the silent technology, which is this technology that was fitted back when this coffee grinder was first introduced to a wide range of coffee grinders. And it basically is an anti-vibration technology that allows the coffee grinder to be 10 decibel at least less noisy than the previous generation. The Mignon Specialità is fitted with a adjustable hands-free fork, which is compatible with basically any portafilter that you might use. Also, the coffee grinder comes with this touch screen where you can program the doses. We're gonna look at more in detail later when the camera is closer to the coffee grinder. Now, what sets the Specialità apart from many other models and what really made it differentiate itself from many models when it was first introduced is its LCD touchscreen. It's extremely easy to use, as you will see now. You have double doses, which can be programmed by the plus and minus sign, and you also have a single dose as well, programmable with the plus and minus sign. It is a time coffee grinder, so what you will see labeled is actually the time. Do not be confused with the Libra versions where the screen is basically the same, but it's gonna weigh directly the grams. Now, there's also a manual mode, which is activated by pressing both doses at the same time. So another feature of this coffee grinder is the ACE system, or anti-clump electrostatic system. This allows the coffee grinder to have a very, very low clumping when you grind the coffee. There are really a small quantity of clumps that come out of this coffee grinder thanks to this system. Now, this coffee grinder has been the benchmark and in a way still is the benchmark for most of the people wanting a compact, high-quality coffee grinder for home use. Here in Espresso Coffee Shop, we sold thousands of these thanks to these features and thanks to its very accessible pricing. And even after years since its first introduction, it remains one of the most interesting coffee grinders that we have to offer currently. Next up, we have the Rancilio Stile, another compact, stepless coffee grinder for home use. So, Stile is Italian for style, and some design features definitely make it a stylish coffee grinder. As a starter, you have a perfectly integrated hopper, 300 grams of capacity, and to remove it, you just pull the lever, which is also the valve to stop the coffee beans from exiting. We put it back and the coffee hopper is secured. Now, for some of you that might have been following the coffee world since a long time, you will probably remember the Rancilio Rocky, the base compact coffee grinder from Rancilio. Now, this is, let's say, a spiritual successor to the Rocky, even though, as you will see, it's a much more advanced coffee grinder, which brings out many new features that the Rocky can only dream of. I mean, the Rocky is quite an old coffee grinder. It was introduced around 20 years ago and hasn't been much reviewed ever since. This one is, let's say, a new version of the Rocky, more advanced. So, one of the most notable features of this coffee grinder is probably the LCD touchscreen, where you can program up to 2 doses. You got the single and the double. Like the Specialità, this coffee grinder has some flat burrs. The only difference is that these burrs are actually 58 millimeters instead of 55. So, as many other coffee grinders, this is also fitted with stepless micrometric adjustment. Now, if you move the coffee grinder on the side, we'll see that there's a wheel where you can actually regulate the grind size. You also get a hands-free adjustable fork that makes these coffee grinders compatible with any portafilter. Here we are with the Mahlkonig X54. Now, this is a very special coffee grinder because it's actually the first home coffee grinder from Mahlkonig. As the name might suggest, this coffee grinder has a flat 54mm burr set in stainless steel, which are made by actually Mahlkonig and are extremely high quality. As their first home coffee grinder, they decided to do an all-purpose coffee grinder. So this coffee grinder is perfect for basically any occasion. You can grind espresso as much as pour over coffee, and it has some feature that helps you specifically to use it for many different coffee preparations. So, as a starter, this coffee grinder comes with a very wide grinding range. It goes from 0 all the way up to 35, and this is actually very good when you're trying to grind different types of coffee. As you know, the bigger and the most labeled is a wheel, the easier it is to navigate between the different coffee styles, and this coffee grinder definitely has that as a feature. Another feature that makes this coffee grinder a true all-rounder is the fact that you can actually remove the fork, the hands-free fork, and fit the cup that comes with the coffee grinder directly underneath the coffee chute. This is especially useful when you want to switch from espresso to pour over coffee, and of course you won't need the portafilter. The X54 does not come with a touchscreen, unlike other models. However, it compensates by having up to 4 programmable doses, plus the manual one. You can navigate through the doses using this wheel, and you'll see it's extremely easy. You just move from the manual to the first doses, to the second, to the third, or to the fourth. This is very handy, especially when you pass from espresso to pour over. You can program your single and double dose, as well as other 2 doses for your French press or your pour over. Design-wise, it looks very familiar to the more professional versions of Mahlkonig coffee grinders, namely the E65 or the E80, thanks to its cylindrical shape. Another feature that this coffee grinder has, which we really like, is this hopper, which can be removed by basically closing the valve actually, and for the coffee to not go out. And you basically put it back in, and it's secured again to the coffee grinder. Now, another feature that you will find in the screen is the Wi-Fi connectivity. If you navigate through the menu, you will notice that at some point there's gonna be the Wi-Fi symbol. Now, the Wi-Fi setting allows you to connect to the Mahlkonig app, and there you can create or modify the different recipes all through the commodity of your phone. Last but not least, we have the Rocket Faustino 3.1. It is the most expensive of the 5 coffee grinders that we were looking at today, and I mean, rightfully so. This, after all, is a Rocket, and as a testimony to its quality is the fact that we've just found 2 parts which are in plastic, which is of course the hopper and the cover, and the surrounding of the screen, which is in hard plastic. The rest is all in high quality material, which feels definitely expensive, and despite being so compact, it does feel like a professional coffee grinder. What is not that familiar is the system used by Rocket, because these burrs have not been perforated by any screws. The screws, as you will see, are external, but there's no screw going through the burrs. As all of the other coffee grinders, this also comes with a stepless micrometric adjustment, which you actually control through this wheel. Now, the coffee grinder has 3 programmable doses plus a manual one. It's controlled in the front part of the coffee grinder. Here there's a touch screen that actually only appears when the coffee grinder is on. When you turn the coffee grinder off, it will disappear. You turn it on again, and slowly you'll have the 3 doses plus the manual dose that appear from the darkness. And the design is typical here in front of the Rocket coffee grinders with this funnel shape. Now, the coffee grinder does come with a hands-free adjustable fork. However, we must point out that there is no switch, meaning that once you place your portafilter underneath, you won't be able to start the doses just by pressing a switch. Instead, the touchscreen will act as your switch, meaning that when you select the dose that you want, you're just gonna press it and the coffee grinder is gonna start to grind your dose. Now let's dive deep into the Faustino's functionalities. As we mentioned, there's 3 programmable doses plus a continuous one. How can you program the doses, you might say? Well, you just press the Rocket button, and here you can program the single dose. In this case, you press again, and you're gonna have it confirmed. In order to start the coffee grinding, as we mentioned before, you just have to press directly the doses, and the time will appear. The infinity sign, as you would expect, is for the manual mode. Press it and the coffee grinder will start grinding manually. The time will be exposed for a couple of seconds. Design-wise, this coffee grinder has been made to realistically be paired with another Rocket product. In fact, its design is pretty much similar to the Rocket Appartamento or to the Rocket Mozzafiato, and that's where we would see the best pairing between coffee machine and coffee grinder. It's not only the design, it's also the quality of the material used. In fact, this coffee grinder is much heavier with respect to all the other coffee grinders. And this is because, as we mentioned before, there's basically no plastic. Everything is in super high quality. And as I said, the wheel that you use for the grind setting has the engraved numbers instead of what you would typically find in another coffee grinders, which is some stickers with the numbers. And the base is in stainless steel, and also the upper panel. Everything is high quality, as you would expect from a Rocket product, and you can definitely feel the difference there. So there you have it. This is a selection of 5 different coffee grinders from 5 different brands that represent the best precision and quality for under 500 euros.